Hello everybody, my name is Alessandra. I've been an Italian and French teacher since 2006. I've lived part of my life in France and part in Italy, as my mom is French and my dad is Italian. So it was a perfect situation to learn both languages at the same level. I graduated in languages, top of my year, and I started teaching in 2006 in the UK, where I lived for 3 years. When I moved back to Italy, I decided to open my office, the tutoring and translation services, where I work. I've been teaching online for many years with different schools, online platforms for teachers, and personally in language schools. Today, I'd like to give you a sample of a short lesson where I'm going to talk about verbs, present tense, both in Italian and French. Now, we're going to talk about presente for the Italian and présent for French. Now, present tense is for both those two languages very important because it can be used to talk about something happening right now. So, if I'm thinking about Italian, I would say, I'm talking to you, parlo con voi. If I was translating that in French, that would be je parle avec vous. So, the difference with English is that I do not need an ing form to emphasize that it's actually happening right now. We have forms that can be used, but the present itself would be enough. I can also use the present to talk about something that is going to happen in the future, in the close future and even distant future, but I have to be certain about. So, for example, I could say, tomorrow I'm working, and maybe use the ing form in English, and I would say in Italian, domani lavoro, and in French, demain je travaille. So it's something certain for which I do not need the future. The future in those two languages is generally used as for the English, the will. So it's something I decide at the moment I'm speaking, and there's no other plans regarding it, okay? So it could even be in, for example, in 2 years' time. I could say I'll visit France in 2022. So I can say, for example, visito la Francia nel 2022. And for French, je vais visiter ou je visite la France en 2022. This expression I've used in French, je vais visiter, means that it's something I'm also planning to. So it's a variant of the present tense, which really corresponds to the going to, but it's not necessarily needed. I might as well just use je visite. So even if it's in 2 years' time, as long as it's something certain and I'm planning to do. Okay. Now, last situation where I would use the present tense in both languages is for a situation that started in the past and is still going on. For example, I could say, well, talking about languages, I could say I've been studying French for 2 years. You know, you could be saying something like that. Well, for both Italian and French, you might be using just the simple present tense if the situation is still going on. So you can say something like, j'étudie français depuis 2 ans. That would be for French. Studio l'italiano da 2 anni. Okay, if the situation is still continuing, I do not even need a present perfect, past perfect, okay? So that is why in most grammar books you will find quite a few pages about the subject, because it's actually so important to know properly the present tense in both languages. Now, today I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction also about how to form the endings when you're conjugating verbs for the most important groups of verbs in French and Italian. I've written for you a little example. Here you have the verb amare for Italian. So you can see you have the root, which is am, and then the ending to add to the verb. Okay? So it's, you can say, we can read io amo, I love, tu ami, you love, lui, lei ama, so he or she loves, noi amiamo, we love, voi amate, you love plural, because the two was singular, and loro amano, they love. Okay? So French works in a way quite similarly because you do have, well, okay, the verb is different and pronounced differently, is aimer, but you do have the root to which you're going to attach the endings to the verb. So j'aime, I love, tu aimes, you love, il, elle aime, he, she loves, nous aimons, we love, vous aimez, you love, ils, elles aiment, so they love. Okay? So every verb that ends for French with er and for Italian with are would follow this conjugation. There are a little bit some particularities of spelling, but that would be the general rule. And the group are and er for French are the mostly common verbs. Now, we said that the present tense is extremely important, which is true. We do have some little variants, also true, about the particularities of present tense of those verbs. The verb studiare, which is to study in Italian, is an example, because you can see that the root, studi, has an I that is taken from the infinitive studiare. Basically, the conjugation that would follow the same path, but I have the I in the root. So io studio, tu studi, lui, lei studia, noi studiamo, voi studiate, and loro studiano, they study. Same for French, actually. Étudier. So it's j'étudie, keeping the I in the root. Tu étudies, il, elle étudie. So he, she studies. Nous étudions, vous étudiez, ils, elles étudient. Okay? So, that's just a little example of some verbs which are slightly irregular. Okay, they won't apply to so many verbs, but we have some exceptions. Okay? I want to end this brief introduction talking a little bit both in French and Italian, so that if you're speaking already the language, you can hear a little bit. Ok? So, piacere a tutti. Abbiamo avuto una piccola introduzione del presente indicativo. In italiano è molto importante conoscere il presente, il passato prossimo, l'imperfetto per quanto riguarda il passato, il futuro un po' e il condizionale. Il condizionale è molto importante per la forma di gentilezza, per il formale. Vorrei, potrei, quando dovete chiedere qualcosa, ad esempio, in un negozio. Donc voilà, pour le français, c'est un petit peu la même chose. Il faudrait que vous appreniez le présent de l'indicatif, le futur, le conditionnel. Donc, je voudrais, j'aimerais. La même chose avec le passé. Il faut connaître, disons, le passé composé et l'imparfait. Ce sont les verbes les plus importants utilisés quand on parle au passé. Donc voilà. C'était un petit exemple donc de cours. Je vous invite a me contattare per plusieurs infos. Mi potete chiedere qualsiasi cosa, qualche curiosità riguardo la lezione, riguardo il mio metodo di insegnamento. Normalmente utilizzo libri, per lo più in PDF, documenti in Word, qualche volta anche audio, video su YouTube. Romanzi, j'utilise aussi bien des textes de chansons, des fois, des articles, nous lisons des articles du Monde, du Progrès. Lo stesso per l'italiano, possiamo leggere articoli da Il Post, ve lo consiglio, è un giornale totalmente gratuito e potete anche utilizzare l'applicazione. Oppure La Repubblica, Il Corriere della Sera e così via. Allora, spero di parlarvi presto, je vous attends, à très bientôt et bye for now. Au revoir. Ciao.